money. Party till I die, with my chin up high. Fuck 'em all, fuck 'em back. Twerk like it's my last day on this earth. Let the dollar make her work. People always hating, but the more they hate, the more I work. Everybody say they're lit, but all they do is showing shit. In my street, like the slaves, bitches always kiss my feet. Stay out of my way, you bitch. I can deal with your fake ass meat. They thought that I had stopped, it was over, I had dropped. Bitch, I had my plans out here, I'm only just at my start. You will have to kill me to make me fucking stop. I was already dead again, you can't hurt me, only God. Party till I die, with my chin up high. Fuck 'em all, fuck 'em back. Twerk like it's my last day on this earth. Let the dollar make her work. Party till I die, with my chin up high. Fuck 'em all, fuck 'em back. Twerk like it's my last day on this earth. Let the dollar make her work. I ain't scared of death, but I fear them as dead as breath. All the drugs in your veins, I am blessed with the smartest brain. I remember your laugh when I was at my worst. Let me tell you, piece of scum, I'm supported from above. Your man in my DMs while you're talking shit behind my back. All the shit you said made you look like a little bitch flathead. Your opinion, bitch, fuck that. What do I think of you? How I love in your face, bitch, if you only knew. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Party till I die, with my chin up high. Fuck 'em all, fuck 'em back. Twerk like it's my last day on this earth. Let the dollar make her work. Shake that money maker in my face. It's a favor. Ooh, I love your misbehavior. Party till I die, with my chin up high. Fuck 'em all, fuck 'em back. Twerk like it's my last day on this earth. Let the dollar make her work. Shake that money maker in my face. It's a favor. Ooh, I love your misbehavior. Party till I die, with my chin up high. Fuck 'em all, fuck 'em back. Twerk like it's my last day on this earth.
I see them hoes down, cheeks up, feeling all bad, so my feet up. Hoes down, cheeks up, feeling on my bag, yeah. I see them hoes down, cheeks up, feeling on my bag, so my feet up. Hoes down, cheeks up, feeling on my bag, yeah. I see them hoes down, cheeks up, feeling on my bag, so my feet up. Hoes down, cheeks up, feeling on my bag, yeah. I see them hoes down, cheeks up, feeling on my bag, yeah.
No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork. We vote with our pork here. No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork. We vote with our pork here. We vote with our pork here. No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork. We vote with our pork here. No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork. We vote with our pork here. No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork.
Welcome, everybody, to Have a Take with Chair and Lake. I am Chair. Down there, right over there, now right here, is my co-host Lake. Have a Take with Chair and Lake is brought to you and served on Chair's Table. At Chair's Table, everyone gets a seat. It's up to you how much you eat. It's good to be with you again, Lake.
It's always a pleasure to be on Have a Take with Sharon Lake. And I'm the co-host, so I shouldn't say thank you for having me, but I appreciate being here. So thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. And it is an honor for you to be here.
Yeah.
Up ahead of us on this show today, we will dive into some of the topics of the day. I did go on a trip recently to the Balkans. We will get into it. We'll talk about your recent release and exclamation out onto the world. We have a very special guest with us, a man who is near and dear to.
But can I say this is not, first of all, it's our third episode, and our first guest, our premier guest. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and our inaugural.
And
inaugural guest.
And a mutual friend.
I'm excited to get into it. We will have a little bit of gambling talk. Who doesn't love a little bit of gambling talk? Perhaps some picks heading into this early weekend of sports, or at least the dog NBA days, finals, really. Yeah.
Almost.
That's how.
We have the NBA finals.
I am.
We have the NBA finals, and then it's the dog days where it's just baseball for about 3 months.
There's a few news items in particular that we will jump into at the back end of the show, and who knows which way it will go. But
hey, this is the crypto market. It's all over the place, up, down, all around.
Not unlike my own life, it is all over the place. But things are straightening out. I'll tell you, Lake. Things are looking up and up. I visited a place recently in Croatia that has seen its own ups and downs in its history and its near history. And though I was aware of something happening in and around Kosovo as it was happening as a very young child, as a small child.
Yeah, I think George Bush called them the Kosovians famously during a debate, which is gibberish. But anyways, go ahead.
The Balkan parts.
Yeah, the Balkan parts.
The Balkan
and that's
region.
A real place.
It is a real place. It's a beautiful place.
But what was the impetus for your travels to such a, as you said, wonderful place?
I traveled to Split, Croatia. Impetus being the IFT All Hands Conference meeting. IFT standing for the Institute of Free Technology, which is my employer.
Oh, wow.
And so is where.
So we love IFT.
We do, and I'm wearing IFT product marketing assets on my body now, both visible and not visible, and you can guess where. It's the one opportunity, or one of the few opportunities, really the one opportunity where the entire organization comes together across many different technology protocols, products, projects, and
Locations?
yeah,
Like,
and
is it all over the world?
yeah, everyone is fully remote, and so it's people that you're speaking with on a day-to-day basis, but do not get to meet in person except for this type of event. So it's very nice to come together with everyone, and especially when the location is as nice as it was, and that being Croatia. It really did make it special. Before I get even deeper into Croatia, thank you everyone for joining. We have 18 strong viewers so far. If you have not yet and you are watching on Twitter, if you can like and retweet the broadcast, that would help very much. Follow me. I'm at Very Comfy. That is Lake over there. He is dude underscore light lake.
Yeah.
And there was at some point I knew how to.
And all those
yeah,
words I
capture.
chose for my Twitter handle are relevant. And as you get to know me more, you will find out those connections. So that's something exciting for the viewers. 18 is a great number in a certain religion. It means life. And so I love that we have 18 viewers. And actually,
Perfect.
when we have 36, we should announce it as well, because that's the next iteration. So
Perfect. Why not 27?
because by 18, but yeah, 27 is great. We love every single one of our viewers.
So give us a like, give us a follow, and I'll figure out how to get our name tags back out.
Check
in a second.
out Tailored in Blood, Volume 2, Morning Mist, written by yours truly. It's a sequel. And maybe I'll read a passage later on in the show. We'll see. We'll just have to see how it goes. But let's get back to Croatia. So the impetus was like a company retreat. I love the name. And I feel like based on our conversations, it's something that you like believe in, just like even in the name itself. What I love about crypto, as I said, I'm a novice from outsider, is like the passion and actually I kind of thought it was a cynical nihilism, but I actually think it's the more I get into the space, the more optimism I encounter. And actually people that give a shit about their future, which is refreshing, and actually want to like shape it and take control. And I feel like that's so ambitious. And my cynical, pessimistic, nihilistic view is that it's impossible, but actually like I'm coming around a bit. And that's because of this space and these people and people listening to the show. So you go to Croatia. How long's the flight?
Long flight.
From LA,
It
correct?
was, yeah, LA to Germany is about 9 or 10 hours. And
Frankfurt?
a small layer. It was Munich.
Mm.
And even just before, even in Los Angeles, I had to take note. I flew on Lufthansa.
Yeah.
It was my first German airline.
Sorry. I had bad experience.
Whatever.
It's United, right? Here, whatever. I mean, I had such bad experience, but whatever.
I also had a bad experience that involved United at the tail end of the trip. But I marveled at the efficiency as to which the Germans are able to load the plane, as if they have some experience with this or something. There was one announcement made, and they said, if your number, everyone had a number, if your number was from 0 to whatever, 200 over here, and 200 and everyone else over here, and then everyone just walked in. There was no additional announcement. There was no pre-flight, like, here's the levels, group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was one announcement, and everyone just got on the plane and sat down, no blocks. You never stopped walking from the moment that you entered the door or even like got in the line.
Did you go right or left?
It.
You went right. Because left is like another $3,000. So.
Oh yeah, I went. Oh yeah, to the right, of course.
Yeah, I do. Like, honestly, the problem is that if they make a mistake, they will not take responsibility, which is, I thought the Germans were over that, but whatever. So Okay, so we're not going to talk about Lufthansa because I cannot control. I actually triggered some bad memories. So you entered Lufthansa, very efficient flight. So you fly LA, Lufthansa, and then you take a same plane to Croatia.
No, connected in Munich, flew to Split, Croatia, which is on the Adriatic Sea, sharing the Adriatic Sea with Albania and Italy. So when you see a lot of the picturesque Italian coastline views and resorts, it's on that same coastline, sort of on the other side of the
Yeah.
the phalange there.
Is it a lake? Because that would
The Adriatic, I
No,
believe
it's
it
a
is a
sea.
sea
and
connecting to the Mediterranean.
and for this, all these random questions that are not always pertinent. Is it swimmable? Like, can you take a dive?
Was people swam? I didn't swim.
Okay.
But it is swimmable. It's beautiful, and it was very glassy. Not a lot of chop on the water.
Yeah.
We were on a boat for a little bit, so I was grateful for that. Yeah,
So it's a bit. You're calling it like you enter a mini paradise, coming off the plane.
very much so. And a short drive from the airport to the resort. Everything is very close. What's very interesting about Split that I noticed, it's a resort town, and it's very it reminds me of Eastern Europe, communism afflicted areas, which it was all
Yeah.
under Milosevic and at all, right? At some point in Yugoslavia, you can really see that in the architecture,
Right.
in some of the abandoned buildings and the occupied buildings, and the sort of
So it has kind of like an East Berlin type feel, possible.
very much like on the sea. It's East Berlin by the sea, by a very beautiful sea with an archipelago of islands right off of the coast there that you can see and our short boat ride to. So the juxtaposition of communist era cement architecture, some abandoned, right on the coast and right next to very beautiful resorts, relaxing places. It's very nice. I happened to be there on the Memorial Day, I guess, the equivalent of Memorial Day.
So
we
I'm
saw
reading here,
people
it says
hanging out.
the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia included Croatia, Slovenia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Macedonia, Montenegro, and Serbia. Was a communist state that existed from 1946 to 1992. In 1991, Croatia, along with Slovenia, declared independence from Yugoslavia. So maybe that's what you're saying? That was the independence?
Correct.
Nice.
Correct. But I think there was a lot of strife in the Balkans, from what I understand, that included. I think specifically. You know what? I shouldn't get into it because I think there's a lot of stuff there that I can't begin to understand.
I think if you land in most places that was once called another name, you will undoubtedly come into some occurrence of strife. Strife will be a big part of what happened. So, but yeah, like, why did they choose Croatia? Is there anything special connected to crypto, or your company, or was this just like a resort town and they thought it would be a good spot?
I think like anything else, when you have a lot of people coming together, cost begins to be a factor, and also it's just how centrally located is it to everyone, and Eastern Europe or centrally Eastern Europe is rather central to most locations, or you can connect to there easily. So I think that was a bigger factor. But in terms of how crypto adopted Croatia, I think it's as much as anywhere else. We did find there was like walking around downtown and very near the center of the city, we found a Bitcoin cafe. It was closed, but it was some sort of like, it just said Bitcoin with the Bitcoin logo, and some sort of office with a desk. So I guess, I don't know, trying to sell to people that don't know that you could buy Bitcoin from the company.
And I would expect that the coffee is anywhere on any given day $2 to $200, depending on the market. But they could do that. I mean, that would not be a bad idea for like them to correlate their prices with Bitcoin. Like bars used to do that with stocks and stuff.
Yeah, I love that idea. I never drank at a beer or at a bar that had those
Yeah,
fluctuating,
I don't
but
think
I
I
would
do.
have, in my alcoholic times, I think I would have had a lot of fun with
Yeah,
that, just to mess with the prices.
yeah. In my alcoholic times, also way past tense. So, what did
Mhm.
you guys talk about? What did you do? What epiphanies did you come out with, or just a summary of basically what you guys talked about? Did you come up with like maybe a better crystallized version of like what you think crypto will be, your involvement, any answer any of those, or all the above?
Yeah, I think I can answer them all. There were many takeaways. The one main message from the leadership of the entire Institute of Free Technology was the sort of acknowledgement. So, what is being built by the IFT, what has already been built, and the contributions being made is very significant in terms of the Ethereum ecosystem and beyond. And if anyone is curious about what I'm talking about, free.technology is the website you can visit, or Institute FT on Twitter. And the founders are
The founders of the website.
the founders of the entire organization.
Yeah.
I guess foundation, I guess in a lot of ways. Very much like they have a vision that is very aligned with what the original vision of Ethereum was, as it was outlined in the Ethereum white paper. And that paper was written in 2014. Things have evolved since then.
Would we classify these guys as like the original cyberpunks?
No, but I would say highly aligned with that. The ethos that came out of the cypherpunk movement, or what is the cypherpunk sort of philosophy. And as I like to say, but who the fuck am I? You don't have to be a cypherpunk to live like a cypherpunk or adhere to those values.
What drew me in is the punk rock value, the punk rock attitude of crypto. And I really think that, I feel like punk rock and grunge, which is kind of like the 90s punk rock, is like as suitable now as forever. And I kind of did a deep dive. And like a lot of the attitude of like the Sex Pistols or Nirvana or whatever, you can kind of see, in my opinion, through the crypto community. And people that started crypto, I think, were inspired by these type of artists. Maybe not the 90s, but definitely the 60s, 70s, Ramones, whatever. Buzzcocks, possibly. I just like their name. And so I guess that's the connection I had to it, as someone that's not like just kind of got into punk rock recently, and then I got into this space. So do you think that's accurate, or do you think like I'm just like I'm making a convoluted connection there?
I think it's very much there, and that's to say, like, punk rock is a very interesting metaphor because of the, let's say, corporate interests that probably weren't there at the beginning, but certainly benefited, and those who came in line with those corporate interests did very well financially. Probably Green Day, the all-time the all-time winner to that end, right? And then Green Day being leveraged sort of in an anti-political sense.
I mean, I'm a San Francisco Bay Area kid, so a lot of love for Green Day, but I think that's where it ends. Go ahead.
I thought they aren't allowed in Oakland anymore after what they've done. I thought they've officially been expelled from.
I don't need to. I've got my fill of them, so that's what I'll say.
Oakland?
No, I love Oakland.
Them?
Green Day.
Why do you say them about Oakland?
No, Oakland's great.
You said them like
them meaning Green Day.
Okay.
I had enough of Green Day. Oakland is a complicated relationship with San Francisco. I love Oakland. I wish sometimes I would like my connection were to the Warriors and then moved to San Francisco. So I don't go back there a lot, but
okay. And so anyway, San Francisco, hotbed of punk rock as a metaphor for what's, or the movement as a metaphor for what's happening in crypto. Yes, very much. I think it's astute in that it is a deviation from the norm.
Yeah.
or
Also, like a
also
revolution,
like a
like
major one.
it was like a response to 2008 crash. Like it was like a revolt of sorts, which is like very punk rock to me.
And punk rock was very much a revolt against the
Yeah.
pop rock movement of the 60s.
Also, like the fucking like kid and wife and going to like taking your briefcase and like all this industrial stuff, and like people are like, maybe I don't fit into that category. Anyway.
Yeah, definitely. So I think now I think we're at the point of crypto where we're seeing we're definitely seeing those corporate tentacles extend into the kraken of the corporate beast, extending its tentacles and controlling elements of the crypto industry. But I think that situation is exactly why and for the reason that the cypherpunk movement even came together is like this set of ideals that to build and use technology that is privacy preserving.
Right. And you're saying IFT is that's their motto kind of now.
Very, very, very much so. And they produce protocols and support and incubate protocols that like protocols and products and projects that are either like the foundational tech that is needed for apps to build on top of or products to build on top of.
Right.
And or the products themselves.
Kind of like
two of them are status and key card that you see on my.
Kind of sounds like a counter revolution. Like the revolution happened, and now you kind of have to have a counter one once because they infiltrated. Like you've been infiltrated by the governments and the big tech, and also like they're not very transparent about it. So you kind of have to let the public know, maybe. And so are these the things you were like talking about in Croatia?
Exactly, and the big message was, and sort of it resounded with everyone, and I agree with it, is that we need to be more diligent and start thinking about and actually building the community element of what is being built by the IFT. Going back to like it's Ethereum, like the IFT has a ton for Ethereum, arguably as much as the Ethereum Foundation, in terms of the Nimbus execution of validator clients, the development of Waku, which was Whisper, the protocol defined as Whisper in the Ethereum white paper has become Waku, and Waku is used increasingly by all sorts of different use cases. My favorite being Railgun, which is a private DeFi wallet, or the Railway wallet is a private DeFi wallet that you can use right now to have private DeFi interactions on ETH. It's more private than Tornado Cash ever was, and is built on top of IFT technology. And Vitalik uses it. So, and there's a ton more. So they really want to see basically what Ethereum was originally defined to be, but in a private way at the foundational level, meaning that the technology that is being built down to its foundational roots is built in a way that everything can be private, so that, for instance, if data is being passed back and forth on the Waku network for whatever reason, that you cannot ascertain where it came from, where it's going, and
that was kind of
it contains.
When I saw the documentary about it doesn't matter. That was like one of the big things that the original, I'll just call them OG cypherpunk, because people that kind of started the whole Bitcoin movement in 09-ish. They were like, why do we have to be tracked? Like, why does every transaction have to be tracked by credit cards and all this? And besides the fact that like after 08, like the too big to fail and everything that was supposed to be guaranteed by the market and the commerce and just money, the economy, kind of failed the people and the common person. Like this was a way of like getting control back to the user, and that might be being corrupted, is what you're saying. And like there's now, that's what I'm saying, like counter revolution, like we're fighting back, or you guys are fighting back to to remain anonymous or to take control over not being tracked. Like why is that, I guess, such a big deal?
Fundamentally, the next generation of human governance we are entering into it now, whereas where you can think of the era that we have been in for the last 400 years or so has been the post-Westphalian order. The Treaty of Westphalia was signed between France and Britain at the end of the 30 Years' War, and that changed the way that nation states were dealt with on a global political level, where the Vatican had a lot more to do with things previous to that,
Oh
or
yeah.
certainly this was in Europe, and things were um, sort of ended feudalism and began the sort of the nation state um, era
Yeah, and actually
in world government.
um and this is also around the time, I don't know the dates, so historically whoever wants to correct it, kind of the Magna Carta comes in, and it's the monarchies are a little more democratized. Yeah, the Vatican, like if you ever read Machiavelli or whatever, like the Vatican is such a huge political component to like those early days. And like, yeah, we had this American Pope and it was a big deal and everyone talked about it, but it's just it's kind of hard to grasp the significance they had on the world back then. So, but that was like religion, that was control, that was the monarchy, that's about control. The American Revolution, Magna Carta, what you're saying is about decentralizing that control into the common person, democratizing government, and I think that it's possible that that is going in reverse now, and we're going back to more of the fascistic, monarchistic, whatever
Potentially,
you want to
yes.
say, monarchy.
I would completely agree, and I would just say that in general, the Westphalian order is dying because of, for many reasons, technology has progressed to the point that there are better alternatives to the structures that prop up governance
Right.
as
And
it
the government
exists.
initially rejected Bitcoin, actually attacked it, kind of tried to kill it, maybe. Is that accurate?
Mhm.
In its infancy?
Yes,
And
correct.
now
But who knows what their ultimate objective was, right?
but they did not embrace it, certainly. And now
Not
we
publicly.
see El Salvador, we kind of mentioned last year Argentina with Malay, and now the Trump coin, which is a convoluted way because he's president, yet it's his private coin, whatever. So it's mainstream. Doge was a major thing that happened this year, and it had a lot of consequences, and that is was a Bitcoin initially. So the technology is kind of in a way it's controlling the population more, because like the Zuckerbergs and the Bezos and Musk and all these people, they are like, there's the richest they've ever been. Like they're consolidating as much power and wealth, and you see that like they made a lot of deals with Trump in terms of like they owned the media, Washington Post, Amazon owns Washington Post, or Bezos used to, and the LA Times pulled an endorsement, and Doge was the unofficial, official component of the government. Who knows what their legal capacity was, what they did? That will be articulated later. So my point is, but by the same token, it's the technology and IFTs or companies like that are like, no, we can use this as a counterweight to the way they're using technology.
Correct. And because fundamentally Bitcoin is great and it's the foundation for everything, but it's a completely public ledger. So it's very easy to derive, like, even though, I mean, there are ways to go about being private, but it's difficult, if not impossible, to be actually private using something like Bitcoin. So there are many alternatives and whatnot. But I would say, to answer your question as directly as possible, the IFT is trying to build the protocols, the foundational, fundamental protocols that are needed to build the new governance systems of the 22nd century, let's say, right? Like, because these things are going to be rooted in blockchain technology, in cryptographically secure, and cryptographically
and I think that's what the governments and the companies are starting to understand or accept the reality of that.
And so freedom, that we need privacy in order to have freedom. And that's a huge point about all this. And without privacy being at the foundational layer, you cannot guarantee anyone's privacy when using
and it's
tools and applications.
It's kind of crazy how we, with social media, just as a society, at least in America and other places, just willingly gave it up. Like they didn't even have to take it; they just had to offer social media, and we, like a majority of us, just gave it to them after protecting it so long. So this is kind of making me think maybe we're going to go back into this fight for privacy and be a little more protective of it.
People who have lived under totalitarian regimes, even right now, understand very well. And like the biggest users of these products that I'm
Yeah.
They're on my chest right here. And status and key card are countries, and I won't name them for their own privacy, are the countries with the most strict governments. You can think about who
Sure.
they are in the world, and those are the ones that are using the private messengers and the private wallets because things are being not only restricted, not just restricted, or let's say maybe they're not being restricted at all, but they're certainly being fucking monitored,
Yeah.
right? And
If not manipulated, rug pulls, as we said, and all these Trump
and,
coins.
like
and stuff.
currencies being debased and whatnot. Like there's all sorts of reasons to
Yeah.
do it. So
So point
the-
blank,
Yeah.
what came out of Croatia? Are you more optimistic about the future? More optimistic
Very
about
much so.
crypto? And give us
yes,
because we have a guest and his name's
yeah, let's
Ilya,
get to the
and he's
guest.
like,
yeah.
it's just like there's something about him. You just go like fucking Ilya, like he's always like he's like being impatient. So let's give us a grand summary of your takeaways from your trip to the Croatian resort with IFT.
My final takeaway on the IFT All Hands in Croatia is yes, I am very much inspired, still inspired, even more inspired after the
Yes.
meeting. Not only hearing like sort of what the general drive and direction and the attention of the company at large is going to be over this next year, and also in the hope that in the hope that crypto as a whole gives me, in the sense that I would like to see these things happen, like basically exactly what the IFT is driving towards. It's exactly the reason that I got into crypto in the first place. I think it's because I come from a family who were on both sides refugees from a totalitarian government, and I was raised with a certain perspective, and because of that, I have certain views on institutions and power structures and how they may or may not.
And you were kind of
our guest does as well.
Yeah, and also where you were was not too far from where all that your origin of story family came from. So that's kind of interesting, like a coincidence maybe. So so feel good. So my nihilistic self should feel a little better. We got people on the ground trying to fix the world that are full of optimism, yet still with their great cynical humor, which is what just drawing me in, and their punk rock mentality. And I should feel better. You telling me I should feel better?
Yes, I think that things in the sense that is there still a chance that an alternative to the currently very oppressive, let's say, the totality of all of the governments on Earth, equal up to a whole lot of human suffering and oppression, and the hope that crypto offers a path towards easing that in the new systems that will be built on top of it and on top of this whole bullshit. It still exists. There's still a lot of passionate people just within that company, and I know that there are globally.
By reestablishing fairness, privacy, and freedom. How about that? Hey, IFT, you can take that. You can take that.
I think we will.
And then they could find out on chairstable.xyz all this stuff, or
they can follow us on Chairs Table at chairstable.xyz. They can follow you on Twitter at dude_whitelake. If you are watching on Twitter, please like and retweet the broadcast, or share and like and subscribe everywhere you are watching. We do have a very special guest coming up here. Should we get right into it, Lake?
Let's if he's ready, just let us show him. Let's go.
All right. So our esteemed guest originally hails. Actually, I don't know. He'll fill us in on where he was natively born if he's likes, or we'll respect his privacy.
He's unique. He's very unique, regardless. And we introduced him last week when we went over how to transfer your money to wallets, and how I almost lost $50 because Ilya insisted I get him a bonus, and that's where this fucking Ilya comes from. And so we thought, okay, if we're gonna talk to him, like mention him like that, then I said, look, he needs to be able to be on the show occasionally. And of course, when I said you could be a recurring character, he said I should be a main co-host, and because he's delusional like that. But let's enough of the intros. Just let's show them and let's have the audience decide for themselves.
All right, originally from Southern California, now hailing from parts southern, it is Ilya. Ilya, thank you for joining the show.
What's happening?
Oh, it's sunny
guys?
out there, huh?
Still, I still have some sunlight. So first and foremost,
Yeah.
I want to address something. Is that the author of
Yeah.
the Fixer's Mess? Michael
It's
Cohen?
Max. It's based on fictionalization of Michael Cohen. His name is Max Cedar, and
You and him have a striking resemblance, but neither here
we're
nor
both
there.
Ashkenazi Jews,
Um,
so yeah, could be.
And the Fixer's Mess
makes
is
sense.
is part one of the Tailored in Blood series. Is that
No, Fixer's
that's
Mess
correct?
is its own thing. I wrote it during the first term.
Anyways, Chair, I did not mean to give him any
you
clap.
should.
That was
It's a
more
good
of
book.
you look like Michael
Okay,
Cohen.
and read the
That's
Fixer's
all I
Mess.
wanted to say.
So Ilya,
Yeah.
I know you're not really in the crypto space, but you are a degenerate gambler for many years. And so as someone who crypto market, there's I'm sure there's responsible investors. Chair can go into more of that, but there's a lot of people that take chances. So what are your thoughts as someone who takes chances on sports and poker and whatever else you lose money on? What are your thoughts on crypto?
So I would first like to touch on the fact that I am a winning gambler. Secondly, the key to winning and gambling is to make calculated decisions and not do silly things like play against the casino, play against other players.
Because it's
So,
play against the casino. You're saying is like a fixed game, unwinnable.
Unwinnable long term, unless you have unbelievable foresight or unbelievable timing, which kind of go hand in hand. So the odds are against you. If you're sitting there at a blackjack table betting the same thing over and
to connect
over
it
and
to
over
crypto,
again.
it's in a way kind of like these big companies that are maybe taking over these markets, or you correct the lingo, Chair, are kind of the house now, and you're trying to change that. You don't want a house casino.
Well, I mean, right. So I don't know the ins and outs like you do, Bender, but I know for if you were there when Bitcoin was $1,500, if you were there sooner than that, then yes, now you're the casino.
Yeah.
And the odds are in your favor. Now, if you're trying to buy Bitcoin at $110,000 right now, I don't know if that is a mathematically sound investment.
What if it goes to $1 million?
But then time has proven me wrong.
Well, that's the gambling
the
part.
Same thing when it was 15,000.
Right.
I would have said the same thing when it was 15,000. There's no way, and we're at 110.
When you're gambling at the casino, and you're to me the biggest pitfall is you lost a certain amount of money, and then you have to get a certain amount back. Do you fall into that trap?
No, but I feel like in order to even have the slightest bit of a chance out there, you have to have two things. You have to have some kind of a healthy disrespect for money. Being able to put out whatever, $500, $200 out there with the potential of leaving there with nothing takes ultimately.
I feel the way the crypto use their coins, they have a healthy disrespect of the money sometimes. I mean, Ask Coin.
Well, no, absolutely. And if you want to make money, you have to have that.
Yeah.
And then you have to have moments of delusional confidence, right? Because at some point you put your money where your mouth is, not knowing what the result was. Even if you did it on Bitcoin when it was 1,500, people didn't think it was going to go above that, but it paid off.
Sure.
When you did it on 15,000, it paid off. And I'm sure someone's could possibly do it on 110,000. But I think that, you know, with where the world economy is and just value standpoint, I mean, how much higher can it get? Like before
So much higher.
there's not enough
Share.
money
So much
to cover
higher.
it.
So you said that a rhetorical question, but let's have Cherry answer that. How much higher?
Well, if you think about the inflation rate of the dollar itself, that even if Bitcoin did not go up in value at all, its dollar value would start approaching $1 million at some point, given our inflation rate, our hyperinflation rate, right? Like,
No, I don't disagree, and I think there is, you know, there's like what, 1 million other cryptocurrencies out there right now. Like, you tell me,
A lot.
but let's call 4 more that are legitimate, right? Am I right? There's like Ethereum, Solana. What else is there? That's actually considered...
Hyperliquid.
Right. Okay.
Well, actually, I would consider hyper. In terms of like, are we talking about blockchain networks specifically?
Yeah,
Or
just
competitors
the
to
main,
Bitcoin?
the main ones.
There's only one.
outside of- Okay.
It's
So
really Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then everyone else.
right, but the other ones are volatile. Like I've heard of people making tons of money on Solana and then it dipped and then it went back up. But like, I think Ethereum is a much more sound investment right now than Bitcoin is.
Yeah.
Why are you bullish on ETH?
Simply based on math. You know, like,
or is this your delusional confidence?
No. It's simply because, okay, like the room for growth for Ethereum is much larger right now than Bitcoin, just based on its value. Like, it just is what it is.
So
Yeah,
Ilya,
I would agree.
Well,
You know, like,
okay, wow. So the great thing about Ilya is that he'll posit his own opinion as a fact. So, but share second.
Listen,
the maths to me, right? I think it's easier to go from 27 or whatever ETH is at right now to 10,000 than it is for Bitcoin to go from 100 to 1 million right now. Like the 10
and proportionally, right? Proportionally speaking, on percentages, that's where the math comes in.
Sure.
I definitely got on this podcast when it started, and I definitely recall you mentioning and shouting out all 18 of your viewers. This is what I'm here
37 now. 37
okay,
viewers,
but that's because
I
love
them
here.
And we thank them for being
doubled
here.
in the minute and a half since I've been here. You're welcome.
Dude, it was my idea to bring you on. I take credit for all the success that you've
And out of the goodness of my heart to save your podcast, here I am. Let's go.
Yeah.
What else would you like to know?
So I actually think that you are pretty elegant in your words, and I think you actually brought some for some of the like the thing was like, what do you know about Bitcoin? Like, because I don't know much, and so, but yeah, I think. What do you think, Cher? Do you think he was fairly accurate?
I think Ilya has always known what's up since the time that I've known him. Quick, maybe funny story about Ilya is that he absolutely schooled me the first time that we played poker. It probably fueled the next 10 years of my life, not necessarily in a positive way, but I was a live cash game junkie for about a decade. If you start measuring from the point that he,
I randomly ran into you.
What was that casino?
You remember that?
Yes.
Like randomly 5 years after the fact, ran into you at the Commerce.
What was that casino in San Diego that we would go to? You went a lot. I would go occasionally.
There's lots of them.
But it was like
Verona.
Well, whatever.
Verona, Paul.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah, Verona. That was it. Yeah, that was it. So, so Ilya, I know you're a very busy guy.
Yes.
If you could stay in one place for a second.
Yeah.
And focus.
Yeah.
So, you know, we connect on several levels. We like gangster movies and we like basketball.
We agree that Kobe's better than Steph Curry.
Well, Steph's still playing, but so the Warriors. So, well, I mean, if Steph plays with Shaq,
Bender, are you gonna let him get away with that?
Bennett doesn't even care anymore.
I'm so checked out anymore. I'm still like a Kobe guy.
Yeah, I know, but
like
he just said something very disrespectful about Kobe.
Well, I mean,
No,
I love Kobe.
First of all, you know what?
Listen, you said Steph's.
I was a Kobe hater growing up. But he taught me that there's no point in hating any athlete, especially just for being great. And so, and like when whatever happened to him was devastating. Like I felt devastated, and like I actually give him credit for like the perspective he gave me, not to like hate on athletes for doing their job. And like
I
kind of regret hating on him so much.
I'm so proud
because
of
like I hate like why I felt so bad when he passed. Like why did that did not correlate how I felt then with all the stuff I was speaking. So I like Kobe. He's my top 5.
It only took Kobe dying for you to show some.
Yeah,
show some growth.
You know, yeah,
a lot of people. I've heard that take from a lot of people, and you know what? The man averaged over 40 points a game, flying back and forth from his rape trial.
I mean, listen. He put up 60 in his final game.
Wow. You know what? You're not allowed to talk about that.
Yeah, listen.
So what I realized about like,
in my opinion, the greatest player ever. What?
It was never been about Kobe. Obviously, Michael Jordan's the best player. I was never about Kobe. It was always about his fans, and I kind of think you're proving my point on that. So, Ilya, here's the question. 1, before we get into our sports picks on the finals, I will go first, then you go. What is the most degenerate sports bet, your delusional confidence, that you regret and that paid off? That comes to mind.
Well, you mean you want one of each?
Yes.
I mean, I've taken, when you bet sports, occasionally you're gonna take some tough ones, and I'm not like games that you had the entire way, and then like last second a kick gets returned for you don't cover by a point type stuff. So there's been there's been quite a bit of those, and none of which I regret because at the end of the day, turned out they were like coin flips. It's not like I missed it by a mile. But
how much? Okay, so on one of those, ballpark, biggest loss on a heartbreaker.
I'd say $200-$300. I don't bet crazy on sports.
So what's your favorite delusional confidence bet that paid off?
It was actually last year. So I got heavy into golf, and I started,
this dude fucking moves to Alabama and gets in the golf.
Right.
Go ahead.
So because Jason moved here, but that's not the point. I started following the tournaments, kind of seeing some patterns, and I started betting on players, and some of them go off at astronomical odds, like the equivalent of like a 10-team parlay.
How many make the initial tournament? How many are in?
About 150 usually.
Okay.
So on one of them, I got really lucky. I picked a guy going off at 70-1. He was winning by the end of the 3rd round on Saturday. And because of bad weather, they canceled the 4th and called him the winner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was like a memorable one where I was like, I got lucky, and because he only had a 1-stroke lead and anything could happen on that final day. And then the next week, I parlayed it into a 300-1 victory on another golfer.
Wow.
A guy out of San Diego, by the way.
So, if you want golf betting tips,
no, I mean those are the only two. Those are the only two I won, but I'm significantly up on golf because of the odds I received on those 2 bets.
So, Ilya, this is a crypto show, so we can't talk about too much about sports.
Yeah.
So for those who want to invest their crypto into some sports betting, the NBA Finals starts tomorrow. Here's my assessment. Obviously, OKC is home court. They had basically the best record in the NBA. Maybe Cleveland was up a game. And they have the best roster. They're the deepest. Height, athleticism, scoring, defense, almost at every position. So obviously they're the favorite. To me, OKC has not proved that they're clutch, and they're still vulnerable to the moment of choking. And Indiana is like one of the historically most clutch teams.
Are you taking Indiana?
So I think the bet on Indiana is good with the odds. I think people are thinking OKC is going to blow them out. They lost 4 games, Indiana, in their run to the finals. They beat a good Cleveland team. They beat a decent Knicks team. They beat a decent Milwaukee team. They came back devastating. So to me, if Indiana could do what they did to the Knicks and pull one out game 1, I actually think they win the finals.
Chair.
But if they
please drug test this guy.
If they lose game 1, it's going to be very hard for them to beat them 4 out of 6 times. So I feel like this game 1 is one of the most important game 1s ever.
Okay.
And if Indiana would have lost game 1 of the Knicks, they probably lose.
I'm gonna tell you in words that you would understand and what you brought me here for. I'm
not picking you to win. I'm just saying if they win game 1,
Indiana winning the NBA Finals this year are the same of Bitcoin dipping down to 15,000 within that span.
5-0 or 1-5?
0.
So wait, are you guaranteeing an OKC victory?
100%.
100%.
All right,
Okay.
well, let's mark it down. Then Ilya's.
Let's mark it down. 100%. I would say 65-35 OKC, and then if Indy wins,
no, okay,
OKC's
gonna win this series in 5.
I'm saying if
it might end in a sweep.
Okay. If Indy wins game 1, if Indy wins game 1, they're going to win the series.
But they can't win
if
any
Indy
game.
Loses, okay, but if Indy loses game 1, I do see a 5
There's
game.
no game that I see Indiana winning, not at home, not away.
So what's your call? So you're saying a sweep?
5-1 at best case scenario, but I think it's a sweep.
So I will say that it's not a sweep for sure.
Well,
listen,
my Cash App.
No. Okay.
I just want to make a note for the viewers out there.
I'll put your Cash App up.
My Cash App in the last year has received upwards of 4 payments from Chair or Lake, and none have ever come out of my Cash App based on
they were all
delusional wagers that Lake likes.
But what were they?
What were they
always? What team did they always involve? The Warriors. So I'm not a partial. My bets, not regarding the Warriors, are very good. I have stopped betting.
But you only bet your team, so it's like
no with you.
You typically at best go 500 for the year.
No, because first of all, you won those bets.
Or you're giving Ilya a free roll on all of your actions.
No, I'm just saying, we bet who would have a better record between Lakers and Warriors, and the Lakers had they won by 2 games, and the Warriors had a crazy season. Okay, no problem. We bet that the Warriors. We bet $4.
All right, delusion.
If the Warriors,
delusion is being exposed.
Hey Bender, this is a lesson to the audience.
I'm a delusional Warriors fan. I think when Steph Curry is on the court,
invest with your head, not with your heart. This is a lesson to the audience.
Absolutely.
This is an example of when you invest with your heart,
Ilya,
and have your heart broken by someone that invested.
I don't want
with
to
their
get.
head.
First of all, the total money we're talking about is like $40, maybe. Second, or 50.
It went a long way.
But look. I'm great. I'm happy to support your degenerate gambling. I'm not a degenerate gambler. I only take occasional bets. So to me, losing on the Warriors $50 here and there, or you almost losing me $50 because you needed some bonus.
I want you to know that.
Do you want to
whenever I wager?
Do you want to make a gentleman's bet that the?
No, hang on. I want you to know something. This is out of the bottom of my heart, that when I make wagers with my friends and win, I do not reinvest that money into the gambling.
Oh, you make sure you.
I make sure that I use it. And tell myself that Ori bought this for me.
Good.
Thank you, Ori.
I'm glad it goes there, not just
in this particular case. It was sushi and a Subway sandwich. Thank you,
You're
Ori.
welcome. I'm glad that it went somewhere good and not to your degenerate gambling habit. So,
Okay, sushi I could understand, but then sushi and a Subway sandwich. We're not talking $5 footlong era anymore.
oh wait, share.
Well,
What
no, we're talking about different times because he keeps losing. So it's like I'm the degenerate
okay,
gambler,
Yeah,
but I have yet to lose a bet
dude. I mean,
him. And you know what else? I have yet to seek him out for a wager. He has always and asked me if I want to take his actions. Basically, so this is
So
an
you're
example.
kind of just
He
his
called
book.
me and asked me, hey, well, he's like, Ilya, do you want to be the casino? Because I'd rather lose the money to you than the casino because I never win, especially when I bet on the Warriors. So here, just Ilya, here's $4 $10
It's
bets.
not true. Actually,
Season,
I won.
He lost all of them.
Actually, I won all the money. All the money I gave you, I won when they beat Houston. So it's really not a big deal. Anyway, so which by the way, you said they wouldn't.
Who?
So here's the deal. And also this guy. Okay, so this guy I said, and we'll close on this. This guy said, I said, are you worried about Minnesota? He said, not worried about Minnesota. The Lakers will sweep. Lakers, or I said, gentlemen sweep. And they got gentlemen swept. How delusional is that? Not only that, this guy said the Lakers are the #1 contender entering the playoffs, and they won one playoff game.
Even I know that was not right.
So Ilya, how did that work out for you?
I want to be the first one to say that I was, as a Laker fan, as disappointed as everyone else was.
Delusional.
Well, I mean, it didn't help that, like, you know, Luka wasn't Luka and Ant shut down LeBron. But it still doesn't change the fact that you guys are at home just like we are. But, you know, and it doesn't change the fact that my franchise has 12 more championships than you guys do. It also doesn't change the fact that, like, 5 of the top 10 players of all time came from my franchise. Like, I understand that you're living in this last bubble of like the last 10 years. And I love Steph Curry. Listen, I love Steph Curry. You know, he's great. And without him, obviously, you know, you guys wouldn't have won those finals. But like the guy wasn't even finals MVP 3 out of the 4 times you guys went there. You know, it's like
Andre wasn't MVP 3 out of the 5 times.
You know, I mean, for Pete's sake.
All I'm going to say is it's ironic that you lost to Minnesota. The Lakers' name comes from Minnesota when they played there. The Lakers. People might not know that. They played Minnesota Lakes. There aren't a lot of lakes in LA. My name, last name means lake. So in a lot of ways, like I'm much more connected to them than you. You live in Alabama and have no like connection to the Lakers right now, but it's cool. Like I'm glad that you could root for them from far. They need your support after that point.
I don't know what my geographical position has to do with anything. You know, I could buy Bitcoin
exactly like
from here, just like you could buy it from where you're at. Just so you know.
So it's been great, Ilya, having you on and with your diatribe.
How many viewers are there now?
41.
How many viewers?
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
It's the fucking Ilya effect.
100% rate of return on your guys' investment.
So if Indy wins a game, I'm right. And if Indy wins game 1 and they win the series, you just have to call me king and we'll end there.
Listen,
right? I do think OKC will probably win, but I don't think it's as crazy. I don't think it's as far
if Indy gets swept, I'm replacing Ori as the co-host of this show.
But we will bring you on.
We'll make Ori the honor.
What I will ask is that if any viewers out there are going to either book or cross book Ilya's picks, let us know about it. Did you book a bet based on Ilya's picks? Have you booked a bet against Ilya's picks based on what Ilya has said today? Let us know.
So Ilya, your assessment is Ethereum is the best.
Ethereum is the best chance to 10x.
I'm gonna give you the hottest pick.
And OKC sweeps.
And Williams for MVP, Finals MVP.
Yeah, I think they're just gonna give it to Shai, but I actually think I think they'll. Win by
I think they're gonna beat him in a
I
team
agree.
effort. I actually don't think Shea's gonna be.
And I don't think he can handle. I don't think he can guard Halliburton, and he can get in foul
No,
trouble. He can
I
actually call
that's not
fouls
the
on him.
problem. I think what's gonna.
No, but I'm just saying, like, that's why I don't think he'll be MVP. Like,
I
it's a
think
tough
they're gonna
matchup
put
for him.
Neesmith on him, and that's what's gonna make it tough.
No, I'm saying Shai has to guard Halliburton.
Well, that's not tough.
Like, Shai might have
I
to
mean,
work.
that's not tough.
It is tough.
Halliburton's the most overrated player in the NBA.
Yeah. Did you watch him play this playoff?
I did.
Okay.
I mean, he was doing it against a guy who was 5'5". Like,
Oh, okay.
you know, at the end of the day, the key to this series is the fact that Siakam won't be able to do what he does against.
Well, I mean, it's an easy pick. OKC is the better team. They have home court. They have the better depth. Coaching, I actually think Indy is a little bit like for the playoffs. I think Carlisle is.
And I think Dort is going to be guarding Halliburton. Shea is going to be guarding.
Yeah, I think they have all the advantages, except there's one, and I'll say this: that OKC choked against Dallas last year. They almost choked against Denver this year. They played an 8 seed, a 4 seed, and a 6 seed. They get another lucky pick with the Pacers, avoiding Boston and Cleveland. However,
yeah, I mean, those sounds like a lot of excuses.
India's come back. If India applies pressure and they can steal a game like they did against New York, I think OKC unravels, and so that's what I'm saying.
Final thoughts, Ori. My battery's on 3%. Williams for MVP. The odds on that are probably going off now at least 15-1, if not 20-1.
Yeah.
And then if the best odds
what about
this series, OKC in a sweep.
And what about tomorrow?
What about
under? Pick the line. Pick the.
I mean, OKC in the spread, and I would stay away from the over under.
Okay.
It'll be a 30-point game.
You say OKC wins by 30?
Have it marked.
OKC wins by 30 tomorrow night.
See, you always do that. You always fucking have to go one step too far. You know, you had such a good.
It's not because
kidding.
you're gonna ask me back next week to discuss my genius picks.
OKC wins by 30. You said we're gonna mark that
you
down.
want that as a pick? OKC.
I could why? Well, I could take the spread.
No, but I'm just saying,
because I know something everyone else doesn't seem to know.
I will say this: Ilya, they're not going to win by 30, but we'll say like 15 points, 20 points. You know, I'll give you that. That's just like Ilya hyperbole, and it's all good. And
all right, fellas, I gotta go.
All right,
see ya.
Thank you for being here, Ilya.
No worries. Always a pleasure. I'll come back
with 70%.
I'll have you back on soon.
Some great 70% assessment. I felt like, but he always goes too far. He always picks 30. They're not gonna. Indiana's not losing by 30. They're 12-4 in this playoffs, and they've played great teams. And OKC is simply not. So India is much more prepared for this series, but like OKC is the better team, home court, more depth, and so. But like, who cares?
I'm so completely checked out.
Thank you to Ilya for our inaugural guest. I had a feeling that it would devolve into that kind of conversation. We're talking to him, so we'll have to be careful next time. Chair, what did you think about his Ethereum assessment?
I think he's right in the sense that it's an easier 10x for ETH than it is to Bitcoin, but it doesn't take into account the total supply issue and the supply shock issue with, or like effect with Bitcoin. But in general, I would say more or less I agree with him. It wasn't that crazy. It wasn't as crazy as his basketball picks. But honestly, I'm so checked out because because I'm so plugged into crypto. I knew every roster. Or
I remember
starters.
You were kind of a Lakers fan back in the day, for sure.
Yeah, and like I knew the starters for every team across all 4 major, like basically, and that ended about a decade ago.
Yeah, honestly, you left on a good time.
Yeah, it was perfect. I was still like when Kobe got injured was when I stopped caring about everything.
Yeah, that was actually it was against the Warriors.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to? Actually, that took a long time. So, do you want to go into the next thing, or did you
We
want to
can
take
get we can get right into
break?
the next next little juicy item here.
Okay, so there was something I wanted to read that I thought was interesting, and I wanted your opinion. It's I think part of the show we're going to try to introduce like current events in crypto and how they relate to the world. Like I said, like the tentacles. Chair mentioned the tentacles before, but like we discussed last week, the crossover with AI, the crossover with politics now with like Trump coin, Malay coin, but also it wasn't only the governments that wanted to kind of squash or did not fully embrace crypto as a currency. It was also the like Wall Street guys, right? And like kind of the big companies were very down on it and kind of saying it was bad. One of them was Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon is runs JP Morgan. And let me just say what he said about it initially about crypto. And so Jamie Dimon, this is from AI Google. Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, has famously been a strong critic of Bitcoin. He has called it a decentralized Ponzi scheme and a hyped up fraud. In a recent interview, which I don't know when that was, he expressed further skepticism about the use of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. He believes that Bitcoin's bad use cases, such as money laundering, could lead to government intervention and ultimately shut down the platform. Now, what would you say? How would you evaluate the accuracy of that take? And would you say that there's some malicious intent there?
I think given that it's sort of obvious. I mean, it's a standard FUD play. If they knew ultimately what their ultimate play was going to be, it only served them better to make it seem like they were not going to adopt in the manner that they have.
So that's what I'm asking. Do you think he actually like did not see it coming and doesn't believe it, or do you think
what I think happened at this point? What I think it was that I believe, if I recall correctly, the Biden administration was still in power, and those comments were made at that time, which goes in line with the general sort of misdirection that was.
But do you think he just didn't have he was so in like his business, he didn't have the foresight to see where it's going, or he said this to like maliciously destroy Bitcoin, or like a combination of it? Could be both, but like, what do you think?
Just to suppress prices.
If you had to pick one or the other,
while not irritating the administration that was in power.
Okay.
I think no matter whatever party the next administration would have been from, I think they would have been more favorable towards crypto. I think everybody knew that, but it served a ton of purposes, I think, for them to be negative about it in that moment. And if they were quietly accumulating, which I believe all the major corporations of the world are at this point, then because like every day another company is announcing their strategic Bitcoin reserves or strategic reserves. So.
Right. And you're saying, are you inferring possibly that the fact that like the president now is a businessman and has his own coin, that they're like for whatever reason influence them to be more open to it, or you're just saying this is inevitable?
I think it was inevitable regardless. I think the circumstances as they are now make it more favorable than ever for anyone to jump in, because it behooves people. Whatever plans people had, a lot of corporations and just institutions, foundations like Consensus and the Ethereum Foundation, well, probably more Consensus than the EF, but and just corporate interests were waiting for a more favorable administration, whenever that was going to be. And so a lot of things are now in motion that we're waiting for that point. In terms of the United States, now it's time for the United States to catch up to the more advanced.
And also maybe Wall Street, JP Morgan.
Correct. And it takes time. They engineered a sort of public disapproval. Now what is being engineered is a all of the talking points that they need for the public, that they need to train the public on for the next wave of inevitable manipulation that they have planned, right? Like they're
So going off that, I'm going to read an article from Cointelegraph written by Christopher.
And before you jump into it, I just
Tepedino.
gotta, because I have like I can expand on that
yeah.
thought a little bit. I think it's valuable. And
Oh,
we
yeah,
have
sorry.
42 viewers. Thank you, folks, for sharing. Please like and share. I think the most useful thing that you can do at this point is
Yeah.
just to get us out there so people know that we exist. And so it really helps a lot.
This is Have a Take with
Yeah,
Sharon Lake.
follow us if you are watching on Twitter. I think most of you are. But we just want to let people know that we're out here as we get this format together, and I hope you're finding it entertaining, if not useful. So my expanded point, and I'll keep it brief, is that.
No, it's fine. I was going to ask
Yeah,
you
so-
a point after this, but go ahead.
What is happening publicly from the from all the recognizable institutions and the ones that sway public opinion? Because like when people of a certain age range, the older age range, hear Washington Post quoting J.P. Morgan and Jamie Dimon and or Prudential or Fidelity, of these like mainstay American companies, there's already a built-in sort of brand of trust within that. So all of the major talking points are going to be, and there's some new ones that they're pushing through. Coinbase is trying to be in them.
Right. Well, that's why I asked, was it malicious?
It's all
'Cause they know
malicious.
that they have such influence on the
Everything
market
that
and
the
everything.
institutions. Oh,
It kind of felt like maybe he was
No.
just behind the
no,
curve.
not at all. None of them have been behind the curve, and I think
Okay.
I noticed the blue blood investors. Like I knew when I was living in Boston, I lived in a very blue blood neighborhood, but just in a piece of shit apartment. So that's how we got away with it. There's the Back Bay, and there's like just old money, and like people just have these entire town home. I think what are they called? The
Sure.
brownstone homes.
Well, Boston is like very
Old
old
money.
town. Like that's when you go to Boston, it's so
So
historical.
there's a super wealthy guy that would walk his Greyhound every day in my neighborhood. I got to talk to him once in his late 80s, bullish on Bitcoin, and he was referencing all of the institutional consultants that he had
Yeah.
that he follows and whatever and consulted with, that were all bullish on it. And this was
Yeah.
this was pre-pandemic, so this was like 2019, and he was all about it even then. So there was a flip on the institutional side of things, and it was always going to happen as soon as the market cap of the entire field of play eclipsed 1 trillion. That's what they were always waiting for, and you can point to exactly when, combining Ethereum and Bitcoin's market cap and everyone else's. Once it was over $1 trillion, that meant that the bigger players can come in and move around, not really in silence. You can see them. You can see what they're doing on chain, but they utilize centralized exchanges and different methods to obfuscate what they're doing.
Mhm.
But at that number, it makes sense for them to even start playing, because these are the size of markets that they deal with. They don't deal in $1 billion market or even $100 billion market.
Right.
They deal in $1 trillion markets. So now that has happened, now we've way.
So they're too big to ignore.
Yeah, in a way, but in a sense, like they were also being propped up, but just by different, like they Fidelity couldn't say officially, or JP Morgan couldn't say officially that they were doing anything in the field, but quietly through different ventures and different things that are being propped up, they were building. So like, there's a whole lot of institutional, seemingly decentralized things. They're actually controlled, like by JP Morgan.
So I feel like
directly. MetaMask is one of them.
I feel like the people you're talking about are stepping out of the shadows, so to speak, because here's the article by Christopher Tepedino on Cointelegraph. JP Morgan to accept crypto ETFs as collateral for loans. What is an ETF? Do we know this? Is this a crypto?
That's a great question. It's an offering of an asset that's on a different market, but you can buy it on the stock exchange, like gold. There's gold ETFs, there's silver metal ETFs, and there's one on Bitcoin. But I'll get the official.
So in some cases, the bank will look at crypto holdings when determining net worth, which may affect how much can be borrowed. JP Morgan, the largest bank in the U.S. by assets, plans to offer trading and wealth management clients the option of using crypto crypto-linked assets as collateral for loans, according to June 4th report from Bloomberg. The bank is set to allow financing against crypto
That's what it
exchange-traded
stands for.
funds. So that's what it is, exchange-traded funds, ETFs, in some weeks. JP Morgan will begin with BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust.
Yeah.
Does this make sense to you? Which, according to sosovalue.com, is the largest U.S. Bitcoin ETF with 70.1 billion in net assets. That's a billion with a B. The bank will also consider clients' crypto holdings when assessing net worth, treating digital assets similar to traditional ones when determining how much a client can borrow against assets. JP Morgan is among U.S. banks betting on crypto initiatives for some of its clients. In 2020, it launched its own coin, JPM Coin, a dollar-pegged stablecoin, and in 2024, the bank reported holding shares of different spot Bitcoin ETFs. So this is more of a bear hug than even a handshake. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon in May said the bank would soon allow clients to purchase Bitcoin. Oh, Dimon also reiterated his skepticism. Okay. Yeah, this is kind of the talking out of both ends of their mouth thing. Like, you can buy it, but I was not wrong to be skeptical. Dimon also reiterated his skepticism about the asset class, stating, comparing investing in BTC to smoking. I don't think you should smoke, but I defend your right to smoke. I defend your right to buy Bitcoin. That is such a hedge. I don't know. I don't even know how to because I guess he can't admit that he was wrong, and he has to embrace it, or he has to, if he turns face completely, maybe he exposes his, what you said, kind of malicious intent. But that is just like one of the craziest ways to defend a complete 180.
There's a public narrative.
Okay, and then last,
there's a public narrative
Go ahead.
that him and others like him spin and have to adhere to. And also, he is very much. He's not speaking to you or me. His audience is very much a 55 and older audience, and so he has to justify himself to them.
Or maybe it's also. Maybe it's an audience of one, which a lot of people on TV are talking to one guy, and he is the president. So Trump administration eases regulations on banks and crypto. So this also might be what you were saying, like an administration that now has embraced crypto and now is forcing Wall Street, or is allowing Wall Street to kind of be more open about their embrace of it themselves. So U.S. President Donald Trump has been loosening restrictions on banks and digital asset businesses. In April 25, the Federal Reserve withdrew guidance that discouraged banks from engaging in crypto and stablecoin activities. In May, the U.S. Office of the Comptroller confirmed that banks can now handle crypto assets of customers held in custody. That same month, the Wall Street Journal reported the U.S. banks were holding early talks to launch a crypto stable coin, which I want to get back to in a second. The Trump administration also announced the creation of a strategic Bitcoin reserve and digital asset stockpile, because he has his Trump coin, so this will make him richer. Or he's doing it for the better of the country, also possible, and is encouraging the passing of stablecoin legislation in the Senate. So this is going fast. And I guess now they are a little bit ahead of it because it's still in the Senate, but it looks like we know where it's going to go. So before I get your, you kind of already told us that that's what's happening. What is like a stable coin? Like a blue stock?
No.
Blue chip, like
a stable coin.
Blue collar stock.
And typically they're pegged to the US dollar, is a token that is guaranteed to be 1-to-1 or very close within a range of 1-to-1 with some other asset, usually a fiat asset. So like the US dollar or the euro, now increasingly people are saying, or the Great Britain pound or wherever. So you see stable coins like Tether, USD or USDC, US dollar coin. DAI is another one, DAI. But there's others. There are other stable coins that are backed, like for the most popular being Reflexer or RAI, is backed by Ethereum specifically, and is pegged to something closer to $3. There's also stable coins. There's like algorithmic stable coins that depeg, but a stable coin is a coin that's pegged to the price of something. The most popular one is the dollar. And by the way, this is how they're going to sneak in social credit scores and carbon taxing, is through stable coins like USD, DAI, etc.
So is stablecoin guaranteed a certain
Yeah,
price
it's
for
usually
the
like a
investor?
USD stablecoin will be $1 or a little bit less or a little bit more, always. Um, unless, of course, they
Okay.
depeg. So always until they aren't. So the most simple way to explain it is there's an over collateralized amount of value coming from some collateral that guarantees the value. So if you have 100,000 Ether somehow, and so we'll use Maker DAO, which is where DAI comes from as the example. So if you would put that 100,000 ETH is worth $20 million or whatever it is, you would stake that as collateral, and that would allow you to mint $10 million worth of DAI or 10 million DAI. Now, those are tokens that you can use, but what happens is, in order to make sure that peg is maintained, if the price of ETH dips below your collateralized amount, you are liquidated. For instance, if the 200,000 or the 200 million that you put up in ETH, if ETH price went down and now it's only worth 150 million, you would be liquidated $50 million worth of ETH to balance out that. But the DAI that you hold is still out there. That's basically how these things work on a very large scale.
So, as someone that's works for the IFT, a free technology, or Institute of Free Technology, sorry, and wants kind of self autonomy or bring power back to the user or individual. Sorry, is this good news?
No, this is bad news.
This is bad news. But even though it's popularizing the thing that you want to be out there, it's bad news because it's the government and Wall Street getting involved, and that was the whole point, was to not have them involved.
Correct. And I mean, I think their involvement was inevitable, and people understood that. However, adoption of this technology and these systems through ramps controlled by them, and ultimately like an entire system controlled by them. If you think about it, most people will be onboarded through a centralized exchange, be quote unquote interacting with crypto via their terminals, and essentially like not interacting with the same way people are not really interacting with any value when they're doing their online banking, and fractional banking has proven to be really super cool. So the same thing is being set up for what's happening with like basically until one of the founders of MakerDAO mysteriously committed suicide in Puerto Rico one day after tweeting a very interesting tweet, and I think everyone should go look into that story. There were the two, so there's Tether, USDC, and DAI. DAI brought to you by MakerDAO. Those are the three biggest stable coins. USDC and Tether were both controlled by huge corporate behemoth US entities.
And that's why Wall Street is more likely to bear hug them, because
but DAI controlled a huge share of the market. MakerDAO and DAI controlled a huge share of the market. Well, now, given what has happened, like basically now huge corporate US entities control the entire market when it comes to these giant USD pegged stablecoins. Now, those stablecoins exist on Ethereum, which similarly to Bitcoin, while it's more useful than Bitcoin in terms of it being able to host any Turing complete software program, it's completely public by default. There's no base level privacy on Ethereum. So everything that anybody does is completely public, and it's not hard to link somebody's address to who they really are, whether, as hard as you might try.
Oh, so this is the complete antithesis of
what once everyone cheered when Trump said no, what was it, CBDCs? He said, we're not going to do CBDCs, but those stable coins that I've been mentioning, those are the CBDCs. They are programmable. You can turn off specific addresses, access to them, or even if you have funds in your wallet, to centralize control of USDC, DAI, or Tether can just say, blacklist this address. They can't interact anymore. They're done. And whatever value you have is over, and you can't interact.
Oh, wow.
And they can do that
right
now. Yes. And so what that will become is when the social credit score side of things comes into effect, that if you don't have a minimum score, you are not allowed to interact at certain stores or use your balance at all in certain cases, or really they can fine tune it however they want based on some other parameter that you're also not in control of, and it can all be on chain. And this is a very
and that will
dystopian.
destroy minor currencies.
Yeah, I mean and this is how they get their cashless society that they're looking for. So it's very concerning. It's maybe the most concerning thing that's happening right now, and nobody really knows about it, or nobody's really talking
Well,
about it.
the Trump coin, with we mentioned the 22 crypto influencers, which 40% of his wealth. This is you can double check. 40% of his wealth, current wealth, came from the 2 coins that he what do you do?
Launched,
created,
yeah.
launched since becoming president the second time. 40%. So he's like, I think is rather concerning.
Hasn't 40% of all of the cash that's in circulation been printed over the last 2 years or something crazy like that too? Like, it's.
But I'm saying, like, he is, as the president, has increased his wealth because he's the president, and he's using his leverage as the president. And it's not you're not going to see a dollar of that. I'm not going to see a dollar of that. So when he's the president of the United States and he's making tons of money based on coins because he's the president of the United States, it wasn't too long ago where we made presidents divest any business interest they have. When he first became president, he was supposed to put his company in a blind trust, and he said he'd give it to the kids. It was a joke. So he's already trampled over all those like ethical considerations and kind of barriers to stop corruption at such a large scale. And then he does the Mar-a-Lago dinner, which only he can do. It's not like you can invite 22 people to Mar-a-Lago, and who knows if that's on the taxpayer's dollar, and to make himself rich. And the job of the president is not to enrich himself while being president. Like, yes, they say Obama made a lot of money. Like, he wasn't president. It was based on books. And like, yeah, of course. So,
he also spent, he made a lot of money. He spent a lot of money. $46,000.
But I'm saying, like, while he's president, it is completely unreasonable for him to host private dinners to boost his Trump coin and use the power of the presidency to do that. Before, like, it's kind of hard now because it's like we're so used to this corruption, but like this was so unheard. Like, if Obama did this shit when he was president, the Republicans would impeach him. So, this is impeachable offenses. I'm not saying he should be impeached, but it's definitely not crazy to, like, back in the day, would be on the table. And so that's concerning. And now, because he's so loose with the restrictions, so his coin could go up. Now you see Jamie Dimon or whoever coming in, and that's another domino, which you find concerning. And it all comes back to him in this regard. And I guess this rant, I'll end. I'm just thinking, like, it's kind of ironic that the guy who embraced it, the president that actually embraced Bitcoin, is kind of destroying it.
Yeah.
Or is creating the conditions to destroy it. I'll say that.
It is ironic, and I think it fits within the broader narrative of like exactly what the people who support him, the common person that supports him the most, exactly what they think he's ushering in. It's exactly actually the exact opposite.
And they're not in crypto. These people that his support, Isle Gander, are not heavily invested in crypto.
No, I think the more
so they're not benefiting at all from all this crypto stuff. In fact, as you're kind of pointing out, they might be hurt. Meanwhile,
I'm still here.
Yeah. Who's the person that is gaining all these things? Who gaining from the Trump coins, the ease of restrictions?
The insiders, like always.
Talking about. Right. And when he pulled this thing where the tariffs lost all his billionaire supporters all this money, he told them before, based on their investments during that day, it's pretty clear that they had a heads up. They shorted the market, or whatever they do, someone else can say, and they made their money back plus some. And the people thought, because the tariff market, like after he collected the tariffs and he took back the tariffs, and they call him the chicken now. Honestly, they call him the tariff chicken or something. They call him taco. I forget what it's called.
Threshold access control. No, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Something about with a chicken lingo. I'll find it. But anyway, so there's this thing, I guess, at the time where they said if you let's say the stock you invested at a certain price and it went down and then it went right back up, and so like no harm, no foul. That's not true. There's fees. There's not everyone was able to make the timing like the billionaires to make their money. In fact, a lot of those people that shorted the market probably made money. And so people maybe didn't lose their shirt, but they lost that. Like if you had $10,000 invested, you might have lost 10%, even though it came back, the price numbers came back around. And so that's my fear for the crypto thing, like these rug pulls and this like manipulation. Like people can lose a lot of money without losing everything. And then they could also lose everything.
It's all gonna happen. It's been happening.
But it shouldn't be coming from the Oval Office.
I agree, but yeah, we live in interesting times. Like from that perspective, certainly. Yeah, no, you don't say anything that I majorly disagree with at all.
Really. And I'm not like trying to be political. I'm not talking about policy. I'm not even talking about his like. I think, like you said, president with the foreknowledge to embrace crypto is not a bad thing. But if we can't like call out the Trump coin and all the wealth he generated, and just like at some point we can't just be happy that Elon Musk and President Trump make money. Like that's not going to help people. But for some reason they've convinced like if they're rich, I'm rich, and like I don't know. I don't really understand that thing.
That point, like
it's not going to help you. Donald Trump making money is not going to help you. So him embracing a Bitcoin to help the economy and have this whole new like investment infrastructure or restructuring the economy, like those have potential to help the person, but he's not interested in that, I don't think.
No, and I would say that I don't think any political leader is ultimately interested in the people that they serve, save a very, very few, and most of those get assassinated. The do-gooders don't ever do
or officially kill themselves mysteriously for no reason.
Well, do-gooders and do-badders also. Lake, it has been a fun show. We had fucking Ilya on. I am glad that he's made his entrance, and I'm excited to have him back.
I'm happy that Ilya hit over 50% in his nonsense to rational good analysis ratio. So that's good, because usually sometimes he goes off and like it's really bad. But I actually thought he made some salient points, and I'm glad that he bought some sushi and a foot-long sandwich. I'm happy I contributed that to his life. It's betting on the Warriors. Congratulations, Ilya. I hope it was good. So, but yeah, I think we have, before we go, let me just take off my video for a second. And that is Morning Mist, Tailored in Blood, Volume 2, sequel to Volume 1, The Shadow Shrouded Streets. And the number 3, which Chair is helping me with the details for the plot and has a crypto theme in it, will be out hopefully later in the year, if not early 2026. But this is available. It's a brand new book written by me. And check out the other one. Ilya kind of mentioned my initial book, The Fixer's Mess. Check that out also. And check out me at dude _Lake. Share at BRYCMFY. And you can check out Have a Take with Sharon Lake on chairstable.xyz, correct?
That is correct. And chairstable.xyz. Bookmark that for future use. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Yeah. So what was our max
we
cap?
Hit 48 today.
Thank you to our and plus I have a know for a fact 2 more people at least are on YouTube. So thank you to our minimum 50 followers. You are not only the best people in the world, I think they're the best looking and the smartest. So thank you to those
We
50.
appreciate y'all. Share us when you see us, and we'll have a lot more coming for you. This has been Have a Take with Sharon Lake. Mahalo.